They didn't yell at you, yet you walked away feeling empty. That wasn't love. That was control. You walk away from the conversation, and your hands are trembling. Nothing obvious happened. No shouting. No insults you could quote back later. No moment you could point to and say, that's where it crossed the line. And yet something inside you feels drained, hollowed out, as if a vital part of you was quietly siphoned off while you were still trying to be polite. The words loop in your mind like a slow poison. I was just joking. You're too sensitive. I'm only saying this because I care about you. It wears the costume of love. It sounds like concern. But it leaves the same bitter taste every time. We've all met people like this. The coworker who smiles while undermining your work. The partner who bends reality until you start doubting your own memory. The family member who fires guilt with sniper precision. Silent, invisible, devastating. They are not clumsy. They are not accidental. They are engineers of chaos. And the reason you keep losing to them is painfully simple. You are playing by the rules of decency, while they are playing by the rules of war. You bring empathy into a power struggle. You bring honesty into a game built on distortion. You show up with flowers to a knife fight and wonder why you keep bleeding. As long as you do this, you will remain their fuel, their battery, their proof that they still matter. But imagine if you stopped. Imagine if you stopped trying to be good and started being effective. If you could meet a narcissist stare and watch them blink first. If you could silence a manipulator without raising your voice, without defending yourself, without explaining a single thing. If every attempt to hurt you somehow rebounded back onto them. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about understanding power. 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli terrified the world by saying the quiet part out loud. He didn't write about how people should behave. He wrote about how they actually do. He stripped away polite illusions and exposed the raw machinery of human nature. Fear, self-interest, dominance, survival. He understood something most people still refuse to accept. The one who controls perception controls reality. What you're dealing with today isn't new. The faces have changed, the setting has changed, but the psychology is identical. And once you understand the mechanics, the spell breaks. Your first mistake has always been projection. You assume they operate like you. You believe that if you explain your pain clearly enough, they'll feel it. That if you show kindness, they'll reciprocate. You imagine the same conscience lives inside them. It doesn't. A toxic person doesn't see interaction as connection. They see it as extraction. Your attention, your reactions, your self-doubt, your emotional energy. These are the resources they feed on. When you explain yourself, you aren't building understanding. You're handing them ammunition. When you get angry, you aren't asserting boundaries. You're supplying with proof of their power. They are addicted to significance. And nothing makes someone feel significant faster than realizing they can ruin your day with a sentence. The shift begins when you stop trying to heal them. Stop saving them. Stop hoping they'll suddenly become reasonable if you just find the right words. Treating a snake like a puppy doesn't make it loyal. It just makes the bite inevitable. The part of you that wants approval, harmony, and universal understanding feels noble, but in this environment, it's a liability. It's the handle they grab to open you up. That part has to die. Not your kindness, but your need to be liked by people who harm you. The game isn't about who's right. It's about who remains in control of themselves. The moment you explode, you lose. The moment you cry in front of them, you lose. The moment you over-explain, justify, or defend, you lose. Power returns the moment you become unreadable. Toxic people survive by studying you. They catalog your insecurities. They test your boundaries like hackers probing for weak points. If they sense you fear abandonment, they weaponize silence. If they sense insecurity about your competence, they lace insults into jokes. They are mapping you, so you become unmappable. You respond with calm neutrality, with silence that is weight, with expressions that give them nothing to grab onto. When they provoke you, you don't rush to correct a record. You don't defend your character. You don't react. You become a void. An insult meets stillness. A guilt trip meets a flat. I understand you feel that way. A jab meets no emotional friction at all. This isn't weakness. It's disciplined indifference. Toxic people need resistance the way fire needs oxygen. Remove it and the flame dies, or explodes briefly before it burns out. They will escalate at first. They'll get louder, sharper, more desperate. That's not failure. That's confirmation. It's the panic of someone pushing buttons that no longer work. Stay still. Let them exhaust themselves. Predators abandon prey that doesn't bleed. Information is your next battlefield. What feels like intimacy to you feels like leverage to them. Every fear you confess, every frustration you vent, every secret you share is stored away for future use. You must learn strategic ambiguity. Polite, calm, vague. How are you? Good. Busy. You know how it is. That's it. You stop broadcasting your inner world to people who have proven they'll use it against you. You stop narrating your plans. You stop announcing exits, goals, struggles. Silence becomes armor. Camouflage becomes survival. They will accuse you of being distant, cold, secretive. That's the bait. Don't bite. Deflect. Pivot. Let them talk about themselves. While they speak, they reveal. While you listen, you stay safe. When they attack, you don't fight force with force. You use their momentum. You agree without surrendering. You validate perception without accepting blame. You're such a disappointment. You're right. I probably don't meet your expectations. And then nothing. No apology. No promise. No argument. Agreement robs them of conflict. It leaves their aggression homeless. They came for a battle and found an empty room. Your ego will scream for justice. Let it scream privately. Peace is worth more than winning arguments with people committed to misunderstanding you. And when presence fails, absence becomes the ultimate weapon. You stop being instantly available. You stop showing up out of obligation. You stop answering on the first ring. Scarcity changes the entire power dynamic. Access to you becomes earned, not assumed. They will accuse you of abandonment. Let them. Independence terrifies people who survive on control. Sometimes defense is enough. Sometimes they corner you. Sometimes they threaten what you love. And in those moments, subtlety ends. You don't wound lightly. You end the conflict. You expose behavior to daylight. You ask calm, devastating questions in front of witnesses. Can you explain what you meant by that? You document. You put everything in writing. You stop arguing emotions and start dealing in consequences. No threats, just action. And when the smear campaign comes, and it will, you don't chase lies. You outgrow them. You become so consistent, so grounded, so stable that their stories collapse under their own weight. Contrast does the work for you. Eventually, the only winning move is disappearance. Not dramatic exits, not speeches, not closure. You simply vanish from their world. Total, clean, silent, no explanation, no access, no doorway left open. They'll obsess, you'll build, and that's the final truth. The most devastating thing you can do to someone who feeds on control is to thrive without them. You were never defined by the relationship. You were the value inside it. Take that value back. This knowledge isn't light. It costs you illusions. It costs you comfort. It costs you people who only loved you when you were easy to control. But what you gain is sovereignty. You stop being moved by other people's shadows. You see the strings. And you smile, not because you're playing, but because you don't have to anymore. You're awake now. The question isn't whether you'll survive. It's what you'll build with the freedom they never wanted you to have.